Welcome to the Fit Life for Busy Parents podcast. My name is Coach Cam, and my mission here is simple. I want to empower you as busy, high achieving parents to go out there and regain energy, confidence, and your identity through a series of proven strategies. Today, we're here with my main man, Adrian. He's been with the Tidal Wave family since 2022. Been out here getting our workouts in, been getting our nutrition in, and honestly, just really going out there and getting the results that we want. I appreciate you for jumping on, my man. How are you doing?
Doing quite all right, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I appreciate you coming on here and sharing a little bit about your story. Like I said, I mean, we've been on this grind from August of 2022. And I feel like, throughout that time, we've had a lot of, highs and lows, and there's been a lot of growth that's definitely achieved during this time. To kind of start off, man, what do you feel like was holding you back initially from really prioritizing your health, right, prior to joining us? And how was that like affecting other areas of your life?
You know what, man? I think as you grow older, especially if you're not necessarily taught, hey, this is a protein, this is a carb, this is a fat.
Sure.
Maybe you understand in advertising, hey, this is zero fat, or hey, carbs are bad, or hey, this is high in protein, but you don't really necessarily know what that means.
Right.
And as you go through your adult life, you get busy, you go to school, you find a job, you get married. Right. In my case, like me and my wife don't have kids, but like if you have kids, that turns into a whole ordeal for many people, right?
Right.
And I think we're all, in one way or another, we're all victims to that life
100%.
cycle, or that cycle where if you don't necessarily know those things, you weren't taught those things, don't know how to eat, you end up picking, making, not necessarily saying any food is right or wrong, but you make the
Right.
wrong choices consecutively or the right choices in combination, that
Hmm.
lead to weight gain and kind of an overall unhealthy lifestyle. So,
Right.
I think most of that was just a lack of education. And then even in the gym, like, right, like you could have a gym membership for years and years, but like unless you actually sit here and you study, like, okay, this is how you work your traps, and this is how you work your triceps, your biceps, and your shoulders, and do a
Yeah.
push pull leg split, um, arm day, shoulder day, whatever, however split you want to do, right? The bro split. There's like a bunch
Right.
of Marriott's to it, but like if you're really busy and you're like, hey, dude, I just want to go to the gym and be there for an hour, get out, and like move on with my life, then
Right.
this program itself has really been awesome for that. So,
Yeah, man.
on all aspects of it.
I appreciate that. And I think that you hit on a really, really good point, right? Is that societally, we don't talk about these things really. Like how you said, yeah, there's a thing, oh, this is, net carb, it has five net carbs or whatever. But in terms of like, what does that mean and how does that relate to other things? Like, there's not really that teaching, right? And obviously that leads to a lot of people kind of being in that stuck position and then needing to really prioritize and put their needs above to be able to go out here and join something like this, right? And be able to get done what they need to get done. I think that's a big struggle for a lot of people is that idea of I need help, right? And being able to reach out. How did you learn to be able to like actually prioritize your needs, right? Amongst all the other responsibilities that you have and how has that impacted like different aspects of your life, whether that's your career, your marriage, just your life in general?
I think at a certain point, there becomes a tipping point where you kind of ultimately you have that moment where you go, oh, I went up a pant size, like, ah, whatever, I went up a pant size, but like at
Right.
a certain point, you're shopping for clothes and you go, wait, that's the size that I am now. Like they don't
Right.
even make jackets that big for people as tall as me or as short as me or however you want to say
Mhm.
it. Like is that
Right.
like special order stuff? You go to the doctor for the first time, and like I came to find out this is super common for Americans, but I remember the first time I like got a physical done, and the first time in 10 years, and they came
Mhm.
back and they were like, "Hey, your triglycerides are like through the roof," and I'm like, "What's a triglyceride?" I don't what?
Right.
I feel fine. Is this fine?
Yeah.
Um, so I think at a certain point, like it's almost like our phones are listening to us, and
Mhm.
all the algorithms worked, and somehow I
Mhm.
found you know
Yeah.
a number of trainers, and for whatever reason, well, I resonated with some of your videos. I ended up reaching out, and that's how we got to this point. So.
That's awesome, man. No, I definitely understand what you're saying. And I think sometimes those little things, right? We kind of just let little things that we know aren't the greatest, but let them slide. And then before long, it's a big thing. And it's like, oh, shoot, like now I got to make a decision. I got to start moving, right? Um, with that being said, I mean, now you've lost, 30 pounds, right? And you're on this journey and feeling good and obviously in a lot better space. Obviously, I think that you're, been transparent with me that you still have goals for yourself, but how do you like what's been different for you with going through this journey? Like how do you see life differently or how do you feel like you have more energy or impacting your life positively?
You know what, dude? I've had what we like to call like relapses, right? Throughout like what's been like 2 years, right? I call it a
Yeah,
relapse. It's not like a relapse like, you're addicted to drugs or anything like that, but
right,
a relapse in that cycle we were talking about where
right,
you're busy, you don't want to think about it, you don't have time to think about it. You end up, gaining a little bit of the weight back and you're eating all the fast food and everything else. And um, before you know, you go, dude, I feel disgusting, right? Like if you have a day like that where you're like, you know what, I ate out breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I didn't hit my protein. I didn't get the right, mixture in. I didn't get my,
mhm,
steps in. Haven't worked out this week. And then
right.
you just feel nasty. I know that I get to a point where I'm like, dude, it's almost like I feel myself gaining weight, which it's
Mhm.
probably all in my head at that point. But
I hear you though.
then even then, it's more like it's just wow. I don't feel well.
Hmm.
Um, and I realized like wow, I was just living feeling like this for a really long time without even realizing it. So,
Yeah,
obviously everybody tries like fad diets, right?
sure.
Everything from like a 21 day fix from Beachbody or
Right,
P90X or whatever. And they're like, oh, we'll give you a little nutrition guide. That's like they give that to the side. Um,
right,
you do that. I was like one of those keto crash dieters, right? Um,
same. Yep.
which keto is, I mean, it could work for certain people, right? But it's more of a lifestyle and it maybe doesn't work for everybody. And I was too lazy to do the research.
Right.
And I went into ketosis. I ended up finding myself, I would literally just drink like a cup of heavy cream with my coffee in the morning, and then I
Hmm.
wouldn't be hungry the rest of the day.
Hmm.
So I lost like
Yep.
30, 40, probably 50 pounds.
Right.
But guess what, dude? It wasn't sustainable. Like once that COVID work from home period was over and we went back to the office and there was a
Yeah.
Starbucks this morning and there was this at night and there was this and this and this and everything else. You start putting those carbs back in the mix. Guess what? It all came
Hmm.
like a ton of bricks. So I think this has been sustainable, right? Because it's been those, um, because of a lack of consistency, I would probably say that it hasn't been like, hey, 10, 15 pounds every month, but it's
Right.
been 30 pounds that have been off for over a year, right?
Right.
And I see progress in the way that clothes fits and the way that I feel,
Sure.
um, in the number of, push-ups, sit-ups, the amount of time that you can run or jog on a treadmill. Like all of those things
Right.
are going up more
Hmm.
than I'm worrying about the number on the scale. And that's why I'm like, dude, this program works. It needs to be
That's
tried.
awesome. Yeah, and I totally agree with you, and I think that that's the life-changing part, right? Is that even if you have those weeks or whatever, right, that life gets crazy, you're able to not gain all the weight back, right, in a month or 2 months. It's one of those things that definitely keeps you going and being able to, get back on it. So, I mean, you talked about kind of those relapses, right, and kind of getting into that busy cycle and not being 100% consistent on it during those times. I would imagine that that would create like a level of self-doubt, right? Of is this ever going to happen? Should I do this, right? What have you experienced along this journey, right? That's allowed you to stay committed through tough times, right? And come back and be able to, really get into good grooves like you're just crushing it right now with everything. What keeps you going during those times?
I think one is gaining that self-confidence of going, hey, like I'm worth it for myself to do it.
Yeah,
I think also a sense of community really helps, right? So whether that be our conversations where, I mean, we've been working together for 2 years, talking almost
right,
every, um,
right.
we've become friends beyond just professional relationship, right?
100%.
100% like, and then we have, everybody else that's in the group chat, which maybe we're not talking to each other every single day, but it's a
Sure.
place that you can go and go, hey, everybody else is in the same struggle for me. Whether it's somebody who's like, hey, I want to gain 20 pounds of muscle, or hey, I'm trying to lose 100 pounds of fat, or whatever the case may be, something in between, right? I want to get my diabetes.
Right.
Like in our group chat, we have like, a variation of it. And maybe we know little details about people here and there. But the fact that we all go there and we realize, hey, we're all in it for the same struggle, right?
Right.
So we want kids, we have kids, or whatever the case may be. We're sitting here trying to do the same thing, right? And
Yep.
so that's definitely helped the sense of community, the sense of accountability with having somebody that goes, hey, I've noticed your nutrition's been off lately.
Mhm.
Um, you know, maybe the gym's not the most important thing, but like, can you see if you can get your steps in? Hey, like you missed your protein goal again this week, a couple days. This isn't good. You're not trending in the right direction. That sense of accountability, when a lot of times we neglect to do that for ourselves, is
Sure.
absolutely awesome. So um,
Okay.
that in itself. So
Yeah. No, I definitely, as far as accountability, I 100% agree, right? When you have that like almost like secret backdoor exit full of excuses and justifications that you can kind of just like slide out of and no one will notice, right? Kind of thing. It definitely allows that to happen more and more consistently. And truthfully, man, in terms of the community, I mean, you've become a huge leader in our group, right? I mean, you've created even like terms that we have in there, right? Like setting the standard. Right. And being able to, even a funny one from your vest that you wear, right, when you've been out and been doing your walks is suck less, right? I mean, like just being out there and being able to show like really what it is. So, I mean, obviously, in terms of that side of it, you've created a much better relationship with food, movement as well, right? What change in like the mindset for you has allowed that daily routine to just kind of become second nature in some, respects?
I think ultimately it turns into the way that you feel, right? So
Mhm.
like you can start off the day and you can sit here and go, you know what, I want a big breakfast. All right, you want a big breakfast? That's cool. How are we going to manage that?
Right.
You know, my wife wants pancakes. My niece wants pancakes. My kids want pancakes. However you want to put it. All right, let's go. Well, how many calories are in a pancake roughly, right? Whether you're making them or you're going out to eat, whatever the case may be, you can sit here and go, okay, well, pancake has 300 calories and 2 grams of protein, right? I'm just throwing a
Right.
number out. I don't know because I don't really eat pancakes, but
I hear
you're
you.
gonna have pancake to appease somebody else, right? To make them feel good, and you're gonna go out and have breakfast or whatever. Um, Now you sit here and go, well, my caloric goal was this, and
Mm,
you end up kind of doing this mental math, and you go, well, I can still have this and this and this. Well, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm not going to be able to have that ice cream, sandwich that I usually have, or I'm going to give up that Hershey's
yeah.
bar. Like, um, I think ultimately it's been balance, right? Where there isn't like a food that you sit here and you villainize and you go, you know what, that food right there is evil and you should never eat that.
Mhm.
Um, I think of like the pyramid when we were kids. Um,
Right. The food
do it,
pyramid.
and then you look at it now as an adult, like after you kind of start to educate yourself little by little and
Hmm.
how you feel and what makes you feel better and whatnot. And you realize how kind of backwards that was, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, you know what, sugary foods, you should have them the least. Yeah, absolutely you should, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad, right? If you want to have a candy bar, I
Right.
mean, I know that one of your biggest things is like, dude, I have a Hershey's bar every single day.
Yep.
Absolutely. I've been doing a pack of M&Ms every day. Do I need to do it?
Right.
Not really, but it fits within my caloric goal and it's a
Yeah.
nice snack and it is what it is, right? Um, but as long as you hit your other goals, right, that's the most important thing is that you
Right.
realize that it's not this like crazy equation that nobody understands. You can do it. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
if
No.
I'm on for that question, but I'm just kind of going from my mindset and how it's worked.
No. No, I think that that's perfect. And I think that that's a huge part of what allows a lot of people, right, within the tidal wave family to be successful because let's face it, they don't have to give up everything, right? That's usually the way that we feel is like the pack of M&Ms, that's the devil, right? I can't have that. So then what? You're just never going to have that forever. You're never going to have a birthday cake again. You're never going to go on vacation and hit up the buffet, right? You know what I'm saying? And it becomes such a daunting task that it's like, I just don't even want to start the journey to begin with, right? So I know for you particularly, right? And we've talked about this a lot, that one of the things that I think is such a special thing about you as an individual is that you really do so many things within your life. I almost think probably everything that you do within your life is to make sure that everybody else around you is taken care of, whether that's your community as a whole, whether that's your wife, whether that's your friends, your family, etc. And I know that that's been tough, right? Because that also means when you give so much to everybody else, there's not a ton to give yourself back. What have you learned within that relationship for yourself? And how do you feel like that's helped you to be able to really give more to people?
Well, I think of every time we get on an airplane and they
No.
tell you, yeah, in case, of an unlikely decompression of the cabin,
Hmm.
these bags are going to fall. So make sure that you secure your own before you help anybody else around you.
Right.
And the same thing happens, right? So like if you're not the best version of yourself, right? And the best version of yourself doesn't necessarily mean the version of yourself that's absolutely jacked and ripped and can
Right.
do a million
For
push-ups, right?
sure.
It just means the version of yourself that can, walk up the stairs with your nieces and nephews or your kids or whatever the case may be and
Right.
not be, right? That's a version of yourself, right? The version of
Yep.
yourself that isn't going to be, 35 years old and pre-diabetic, right?
Right.
That's the best version of yourself, right? Or a better
Right.
version of yourself than what you could potentially be if you don't take care of yourself.
Sure.
So I think acknowledging that, right, that you have to a certain degree, put your health first so that you can help others has
Right.
definitely helped me. It's been rough because realistically, I mean, I know that when we were talking, it was always like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" I was like, "You know what? I got to go help so and so and such and such, and so and so has a flat tire, and I got to go help them, and they're stranded in the middle of the desert.
Hmm.
Um, hey, what do you got going on this weekend? Oh, you know what? My mom hit me up and she needs me to take care of this and that. And all those things are important. You're never going to leave a buddy
Sure.
stranded in the desert. You're not going to leave your mom, asking you to go have dinner with her and tell her no, right?
Right.
Ideally, you're not going to do any of that.
Sure.
But at a certain point, you have to realize like the word no doesn't necessarily mean never. It means not right now or not this second.
Right.
So if somebody
Right.
tells you, "Hey, can we do this Tuesday at 6:30?" and you sit here and you go, "You know what? Tuesday at 6:30, that's the time I was planning my workout. You know what, man? I can't. Can we do Friday? Can we do
Right.
Saturday? Can we do it a little bit later? If you
Right.
absolutely, I'm willing to help you, but can we do it just a little bit later?"
Right.
Um, and I find that a lot of times you don't have to disclose everything, right? Like not everybody has to know everything in your life. I'm
Yep.
a, I'm absolutely guilty of just like disclosing, TMI, not to a gross way, but just everybody
Right.
knows my life because I don't know, I'm just an open book to everyone. So I don't mind saying like, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to go to the gym in the end, then I can go see you," or you know what? I
Right.
can't go to the gym. But I've learned that a lot of times, unfortunately, not that anybody's against you, but they don't necessarily have the same goals as you, or they don't have the same vision as you. So they don't put your needs first. So
Hmm.
you can say something, or simply say something like, "Hey, you know what? I have an appointment at that time."
Yep.
That appointment is with yourself, right? And that's perfectly fine
Sure.
um, to do. So I've learned to draw that boundary, not harshly, not to isolate anybody, but just draw a boundary where you go, "Hey, I have to put myself first to a certain degree." Um,
Yeah.
People see you, they're going to go, "Hey, you look good. Hey, you look like you have a lot more energy. What's going on?" You know what? I've been eating well. I've been exercising. I've been working out. You know what they're going to say? Nobody's going to sit here and go, "Why would you do that? You're so silly." They're going to go, "I'm so
Right.
happy doing that." So at
Yep.
first, you feel guilty for doing it, but once you start to do it, you're going to realize, hey, this has positive results in
Right.
everything people around you. As a matter of fact, you might have people that go, "Well, what are you doing? What's the secret?" Right?
Right.
Well, Ken, you have some cheat sheets that we can share with people on good T reps.
Yeah,
Um,
for
yeah,
sure. No, I think that that's beautiful, man, and I think that's a testament to the ripple effect of this, right? That it really is one of those things that initially you kind of feel guilty, you feel like you're doing something for yourself, it's a luxury, maybe I'm wasting my money, what am I doing? And then before long, it's like, oh wait, hold on, not only did I lose weight and I feel better about myself and have more energy and such, but now I'm able to actually step up for my wife in a way that I wasn't doing before. I'm able to go out and do something extra with the guys that I normally couldn't because truthfully, I'm just too tired after a long week at work or whatever it might be, right? And then you start getting those people that want to come in and learn from you, and it really just takes shape. So one of the last things I wanted to talk to you about, my man, and we'll see how the answer goes and go from there. But if you went back, right? Let's say August of 2022, you're about to jump on that call with me, and then obviously we moved forward and we started this journey. But if you went back to yourself at that point and said, "Hey, I want to just kind of tell you about how these next 2 years plus are going to go here," what would you say to yourself to really go out there and take the world by storm from day one?
dude, send it. You know, send it. At the end of the day, everybody's circumstances are a little bit different,
Sure.
but in 2 years, it's going to be 2 years from now. So one way or another, it's going to be 2 years from now. So we can choose to start a journey in a journey of 1,000 miles. It all starts with a single step. So we can take that first step forward. And hey, in 2 years, you may not have lost all the weight that you think that you're going to, or you may not be able to run as fast or as hard or as long as you want to. You're not going to be able to do as many push-ups as you promised yourself you're going to be able to, but you're
Mhm.
going to be, 11% better. You're going to
Yep.
be 37% better. You're going to be 100% better, right? Um, 1% better every day. So a journey of 1,000 miles again starts with a single step. So
Yep.
absolutely send it and maybe work a little bit harder, maybe, dedicate yourself a little bit more. But absolutely, I have no regrets with starting this journey. Whether it be for myself or even when I'm talking from the standpoint of the tidal wave program. We're
Yeah.
trying to put it into a lifestyle, and I absolutely have no regrets about any of it.
And I'm so glad that you don't, man, because you're an intricate part of what we do. We absolutely love having you in the group, man, and your energy, your your honestly leadership and guidance within the community, the way that you speak to other people, you truly do carry of such a big heart, and we just love that our community is having such a great culture, and you're a huge part of that. So I appreciate your time today, Adrian. I appreciate you coming and sharing your story and kind of giving some, just a little bit of a peek behind the curtain of what your experience has been. And truthfully, man, I appreciate you, and I'm excited to continue to turn one day into a lifestyle for you. So if you guys have enjoyed this podcast episode, make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe down below. Adrian, appreciate your time tonight, my man. You have a great rest of your day, okay?
Got it, brother. Thank you.